There's going to be a time in your life as a young man, especially when you're going to be at a crossroads. And this is a very important time. But the thing is, like, you don't necessarily have to make a drastic change. You just have to choose a path and follow it. And it's not an end-all be-all. Like, you can pivot at any point in your life. And you don't necessarily have to be a young person, but, like, as a young man myself, the only experience I have is being a young man. So, you know, I'm at a crossroads in my life. And maybe you have nothing to lose. Maybe you don't have a family or a mortgage or any real responsibilities. But, you know, you have a choice to sell out and chill or incorporate some degree of change in your life that's hard. And it could be moving, taking a job, leaving a job, getting serious with your girl, quitting, breaking up with her, joining the military, going back to school, like whatever that might be. Just a step in the right direction is really all it takes. You know, if you're at a fork in the road, just turning your fucking turn signal on will kind of indicate which way you're gonna go down. And I felt that I was at a crossroads in my life recently. Like, I just graduated college and I moved to Scottsdale with my brother, and I started a 9-to-5 job, and I fucking hated it, like every second of it. In fact, I have so many journal entries of the mundane experience of a 9-to-5 that I literally wrote at my desk in my cubicle at work. Like, I felt out like I was at a crossroads to either keep going and fully integrate myself into the corporate culture and lifestyle, or quit and actually give myself room to discover what I want my life to look like. So I quit, and I'm in the process right now of actually learning how to live. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I have enough savings and I have no real responsibilities like kids or a mortgage, where I can take a hiatus like I am right now and kind of figure shit out. But like, if you're, in a stage where you hate your life, but you have responsibilities, you can literally quit and do DoorDash like 4 days a week and, make 30-40 grand a year on working a couple hours a week. And you get 1099 benefits too as an independent contractor, or whatever it might be, like working at a restaurant, bartending, being a bar back, or just working part-time somewhere. But I highly recommend, if you're at a crossroads, to just pivot and do some other shit. At least start a hobby, some shit like that. And the reason why I took that step was because I felt myself assimilating a little too much into that lifestyle. Like at first, when I first started, I was like so depressed about working and the lifestyle shift, and I just truly despised going to work. Like, I would literally lay on my floors in the morning and just stare at my ceiling fan, just go around and around, like right there, literally. And like, my energy was drained just so much after work, and I wasn't even really doing shit at work. I would send a few emails, make a few phone calls, but all day I was just doom scrolling or playing Clash Royale, and I was pretending to work more than I was actually working. And it was kind of a weird time, because I stopped going to the gym, I stopped hanging out with my friends, and I would just sit in my room in the dark. But towards the end, like, I started getting my groove and finding my rhythm again. Like, I started working out, getting energized and socializing. I started closing deals and making money. And that's exactly the point when I decided to leave. Like, I quit while I was ahead, because it felt like I was conforming. It felt like conformity. I knew I didn't like the lifestyle, the lingo, the networking, the silent hatred for your job, or the anxiety to look like you're working, when your boss is in the room. And once you finally get buzzing, that's really when you need to decide, which path to take. Like, if I left early on, honestly, I would have felt like a failure. I wasn't closing deals. I was laying on the floor. I wasn't hanging out with my friends. I wasn't working out. And honestly, I was drinking a lot. But once I started getting the ball rolling and closing deals and getting my shit together, working out again, hanging out with my boys, the lingering dread of the work was still there. I knew I had to make a change. Right when shit started to get good, like, I quit. Because, like, the better I got and the more assimilated I got with the work, the deeper into the trap I fell. And that's where I'm at now. You know, I chose my path and I'm sticking to it. And at some point, you have to choose yours too. You know, break up with her, marry her, climb the corporate ladder, quit your job, pivot, go back to school, follow your dreams, like move to Thailand, get a motorcycle. You can literally pull the trigger on anything you want. You know, it's like what, 1 in, I don't know, 43 trillion chance that you're here alive on this earth. Like, do what the fuck you want, bro. It's your life. You don't want to waste away at some job, or you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe you love your job. Maybe it's your purpose or your calling. Like, that's totally on you. But I felt like I was at a crossroads and I didn't want to do that, so I quit. I pivot. You know, I acted instead of thinking too hard about it before it was too late. And it's really never too late. You can say it's now or never at any point. And like the old cliche Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree is right now or 20 years ago. Or 20 years ago or right now. So plant that fucking tree.